Namaste, Prakash here. Welcome to the next episode of Dharma Tales. Let's debate. We have been going deeper and deeper into many of the hidden treasures from Mahabharata. Some of the stories known, some of the unknown stories, some of the known stories with lots of twists. More than anything else, Mahabharata is like a treasure trove where there is abundant amount of knowledge, wisdom related to dharma that can be picked up. Today, we're going to look at one more very intriguing story concerning Duryodhan. We all know that he fought from the front, whether he stood for the right or wrong. And as the day on which he was to be killed nears, and the battle really becomes very intense. And finally, with the advice of Krishna, Bhima is able to finish his own cousin. What a tragedy where brothers will have to fight. Apparently, one for the right cause of Dharma, the other for the so called Dharma, which is hidden actually with the ego as the base. While he's dying, people are still confused because Duryodhan just doesn't seem to die. Bhima doesn't know what to do. And as everything unfolds, as Lord Krishna is watching from the chariot, Duryodhan seems to put up three of his fingers up as if he wants to communicate something. But yet, because of the severe injuries he has suffered, which are almost near fatal at that point of time, he is not able to speak. Many of the warriors from his side and people around go and see if they can understand what Duryodhan wants to say. But nobody is able to understand exactly what he is saying because he has lost his ability to speak. At that moment, Lord Krishna goes and says that, let me communicate with him. And being the Lord himself, he dives deep into Duryodhan's consciousness and finds out what is actually stopping him from leaving the body and why he has kept his three fingers raised. And from the deep consciousness of Duryodhan, Lord Krishna picks up three questions for which Duryodhan wants answers before he dies or before his soul leaves the body. The three questions are like this. What would Pandavas have done had Duryodhan fortified Hastinapur by building a very, very strong fort around Hastinapur? The second question is, when Dronacharya died, why he chose Karna and what would have happened instead had he chosen Ashwatthama, who was in a fit of rage because his father had been killed wrongly. That actually might have tilted the war in the favor of Duryodhan or Kauravas. The third question, many of us may not be aware, the strongest warrior on the side of Kaurava did not actually take the fight. It is said that Vidur, the third of the three brothers, Dhritarashtra, Pandu, he is said to be such a wizard in fights that if he had entered the fight, the end of the war would have been a foregone conclusion. But for whatever reason, Vidur decides not to fight. So the second or the third question which Duryodhan had is, what would have happened if he had brought somehow Vidur to the war? And without knowing or getting answers for these three questions, somehow the soul of Duryodhan refuses to leave the body. And having understood these three questions, Lord Krishna starts answering them in a way in which Duryodhan would understand. For the first question, what would have happened had he fortified Hastinapur? He says, had you fortified Hastinapur with such a strong fort, I would have made Nakul to lead the Pandavas because Nakul is a person who is capable of such horse riding capability that he is even capable of driving or riding in heavy rains without he or the horse getting wet. He had the unique ability of riding a horse even between two droplets of rainwater. And with that capacity, he would have easily entered the fort and finished off the fort and defeated Kauravas. So one third of the answer is given, and Duryodhan is now satisfied to that extent. There are two more questions which need to come up, which needs answers. The second question: what would have happened if Ashwatthama had been made the chief in place of Karna after the death of Dronacharya? For this, Lord Krishna says it is true that if Ashwatthama had been made as the chief in place of Karna, he might have taken the war to a different level altogether. In which case, the only way in which I would have made Pandavas to defeat Kauravas was to make Yudhishthir or Dharma extremely angry. So Duryodhan asks, what does it mean? He says, you are not aware of the power of Dharma. Throughout his life, not even once he had got angry. That is his state of calmness. But he also had this boon or the power associated with him that had someone really made him angry, whatever is visible in his vicinity will be burned down instantly, whatever it may be, whoever it may be, whatever caliber. And this was the hidden power of Dharma, which even he was not aware, which I am aware. Had you brought Ashwatthama to the fore, knowing that Pandavas may not be able to defeat Ashwatthama in the front, I would have unleashed the hidden anger of Dharma, which would have burnt off the entire Kauravas in no second. This is something I didn't use because there is no need. And to the third question, what would have happened had I somehow made Vidur to fight? He says, had you made Vidur to fight who had accepted to be neutral in this, as I was, I would have actually personally got into the war because the only person who can defeat Vidur is me and no one else. When Duryodhan gets the answers to all these three questions, he is satisfied and the soul leaves the body. There are a lot of interesting questions which come up through this story. Knowing the power of Nakul and how we can actually wade through the enemy army and territories. Why was not made the chief of the army by Lord Krishna? The second point, if winning was the goal, why Lord Krishna did not make Yudhishthir angry on day one? There were hundreds and hundreds of reasons which he could have easily manipulated or put it in such a way which would have made Yudhishthir really angry. Right from the disrespect shown to him, the loss in the game of dice, the disrobing of Draupadi, and after they came back, the refusal by Kauravas to hand over the kingdom which was due to Pandavas. There were many reasons. In spite of all this, Dharma remained calm and he did not even know which Lord Krishna knew. And the third point, if Vidur had to come forward and fight, and Vidur was technically bound to support Hastinapur because he is the brother, he was also considered to be the prime minister. Why he did not choose to fight alongside of Kauravas? And what might have happened had he come out and fought, and Lord Krishna would have fought? Would even Pandavas been saved? And there are many other interesting twists and turns in terms of questions that might come up in terms of the interpretation of the story. How a soul can hold back without getting certain answers before it leaves the body. There are very interesting points for us to ponder from this wonderful story on the death of Duryodhan and the three unanswered questions. Take to the comment section. Share all your perspectives and answers. Dharma Tales, let's debate. Till we meet again. Prakash.